Maybe, but maybe it's just maybe you just have a kind of tendency to remember, as you say, remember those kind of games between your top 5-6 teams, whereas, you forget, it's easy to forget your team that, forget the games with the bottom half of the table. So there's a greater equality this year, which means it's exciting. Has it impacted quality? Probably, slightly, but yeah,
maybe.
Anyway.
Stat line of the week, Liam Marshall, even though there might be an asterisk next to it for some, 3 tries, 8 tackles, 244 metres and 4 clean breaks is fantastic in my book. What about player of the week? I mean, I'd say Marshall and CO as the 2 hat-trick getters. I'd put them front of that queue in a week that wasn't littered with great quality play from a lot of halfbacks and that sort of stuff. Do you have anything different for us?
I'll have an honourable mention, Jack Walker getting a couple of tries and tackle busts and meters and offloads and all of the above.
Fair shout. Highlight of the week?
Final whistle on Friday night.
Yeah, because that's when the big conversation erupted on the programme notes. Do you know what? Sod you all. Screw you, Chris Chester. It's Liam Marshall. Irrelevant of the tap coming 2 or 3 metres off the mark. It was still a thrilling effort, and like I said, especially in the stands where, because of that diabolical view that you get at Bellevue, I had no way of knowing he tapped it off the mark, so I was just in raptures of joy. Thinking back to Viva La Beavers doing it against Wigan in the Women's Grand Final last year and thinking it's happened in the men's game.
Yeah,
Liam Marshall, hat-trick hero.
Don't take it away from you.
Well, personal highlight at least. I'm sure lots of fans of other teams have their own personal highlights. Maybe next year we should open that up for something that the fan views can come in on, actually. Something to think about. Okay. Yep. Predictions, Super Brew Fantasy League updates. I went 4 out of 6 last week. You went 3 out of 6. That is crucial, Alan. Because in the overall standings for the hosts this year, I'm now at 66% success rate, whereas you've fallen to 65% success rate. Sarah's on 53 and Tim is on 52. However, Alan, where you have shown consistency is where you're tipping in every week, which is the Super Brew competition, and you stay top of that competition. Salford fan Owen Hughes, who we heard from on this week's show, he's the yellow cap wearer this week.
Yep, well done.
In terms of the Fantasy League, Alan Bagley stays top. Third place, Liam Reddington had the best weekly score of 701, although I think his late charge has probably come just too late to challenge the top 2 of Alan Bagley and Sarah Morgans, who are battling it out for the hat at the end of the year, for the SLP hat at the end of the year. Thanks everyone for getting their fan views on that one. Thanks especially to new regular voice EFC78JU. Do get in touch and tell us more about yourself. Get your fan views in on the Google Forms. The links will come out on Twitter after every game, and if you want links, if you're not a Twitter user, get in touch with us on Facebook or email or etc. and we'll send you a link, because we love those fan views. Other results time. Let's move on.
So, after an extended talk about the Super League, we'll move on to other results now. And it was the 26th round in the Championship. It was Toulouse 42, Dewsbury 14, Toronto 62, Barrow 8.
Yeah, Attila Murphy got in touch to say, last time a depleted Barrow will be visiting Toronto for a while, which probably suits both clubs just fine. Glorified friendly, although Barrow weren't very friendly, catching a few Wolfpack players late high with shoulders. But the Toronto Wolfpack were bigger and more skillful and scored at will. 7k crowd, pretty good for a holiday weekend. Phony war, kind of, ends next weekend when Lee visit. The return of Braley et al.
It was Halifax 58, Rochdale 0. Lee 23, York 24 in a thriller on the Our League app.
Yeah, they're delivering some good games at the moment, aren't they, on the Our League app?
Yeah, and York like to be in close matches. They really do.
Just a sec on those two then. Do you think this stands them in good stead for the playoffs? These close matches that they're squeaking through, or do you think Toronto will still just have too much class?
I still think Toronto will have too much class, but it would not surprise me if York were the team that were going to to go into what play them there. But yeah, well, we will see. Plenty of games to go yet. It was Widnes 36, Swinton 28.
Swindon St George into the championship. They're going great guns. POB 1976 going touch, and Paul said Widnes played well before a spirited Swinton team came back to lead at half time. Widnes has more of the ball in the second half and possession told. Swinton scored the try of the game, where cheered on by a healthy following of Swinton fans. Widnes safe in the championship after a season of ups and downs. Roll on next season.
Yeah, obviously that's the big takeaway, isn't it? Widnes safely in the championship for next year.
Yeah, and now they can properly think about rebuilding for the medium to long term.
Indeed, yep. It was in the last game, Asterix at Odsall. I was there to witness Bradford 30, Sheffield 10, and we actually played really well in this game.
Was there a sense of occasion all around? I mean, over 7,000 there. Some people who don't go regularly certainly were there. You can point the fingers at some of those people saying, why have you not been there all year? But maybe, these sorts of crowds bring out these sorts of performances in this Bradford side, because Leeds.
Maybe. Yeah, it was good. I mean, in terms of the occasion, for me, I'm still a cynic about the whole exercise, so in my heart of hearts, I don't really think it's the last game. I don't think Odsall's going to get turned into a housing estate, but you never know. In terms of the performance, it was very good. We actually, obviously Sheffield were coming off a cup win, so the bit of a cup hangover maybe. There was a bit of weirdness in the game, I have to say, in terms of a couple of yellow cards that didn't seem to have come out of anything really. It wasn't a bad-tempered game, but both sides had a player in the bin for 10 minutes. It was nice to see kind of lots of retro shirts in the crowd, lots of northern shirts, and particular favourite of mine, the purple and green one, which is an absolute classic from the mid-90s. There were a few of them about. But yeah, in my heart of hearts, I don't think it's the last game on, so I think we'll be back, but maybe not for a bit.
But you said that it was interesting contrast with your viewpoint to going with people like your dad who aren't necessarily as engaged and switched on to the kind of...
Yeah, it's very easy to kind of get swept up with what the kind of what the club says rather than listen, shock horror not
true, do we sometimes with all of this, or what
exactly,
or who's to blame for the things that we do know are true, who's responsible for these things, and we get so embroiled in all of that, but for some people it's not like that.
No, it's not, and they'll they might pick up a Telegraph and Argus if they're in the city, or they might just see what's on the BBC kind of news feed or whatever. So a lot of people are not involved in it, and you could tell that there was a feeling around it that it was a big thing and that people wanted to mark the occasion, and people had made a special effort to be there. And I can't, it's very cynical and very disingenuous in many ways to kind of say, well, why weren't you here all year? And if 7,000 had turned up each week, you wouldn't have a problem and all that kind of stuff, because it's not as simple as that. It never is. A lot of fans have been through the mill, and if your club had been into administration and liquidation so many times, let's see how committed you are. So yeah, it's the end of one chapter, and we'll see what next year brings. And the last game was Batley 0, Featherstone 64. The standings, all that renders the next round pretty much a non-event,
isn't it? I was distracted by reading something on that tablet
on the social medias.
Yes. All those results that Alan so wonderfully brought us, and I listened to every one of them. I even listened to what he said about Batley versus Featherstone.
Yeah.
I assume you read that one out. No. All that renders the final round next week as pretty much a non-event. We've known for a while that Toronto are top and steal home field advantage for as far as they can go in the playoffs. Toulouse, York, Lee and Featherstone are the other playoff sides, with Featherstone being the final one confirmed this weekend. Although the final order is yet to be decided, so exciting. Bradford and Sheffield will finish mid-table above Halifax, Swinton, Batley, Widnes and Dewsbury. Again, some position swaps may happen next week for those teams, but Barrow and Rochdale are relegated.
They are. So moving into League One, it was round 21. It finished Coventry 6, Oldham 50.
Yes, and ground announcer at the Broad Butt. No, it's not. They were rugby, weren't they, again?
It's the Old Butt.
The Old Butt was
Old
Tim G
Butt.
Radio,
Yeah.
who got in touch to say, another tough day against the top three. Oldham were clinical. Bears had 2 sets in the opposition 20 and dropped several chances and gave away too many penalties, which were quickly punished by Oldham. This is the Bears derby. Underrated part of this game is that it was the Bears derby.
Yeah, of course.
How long were they called the Bears for? About a week in the late 90s.
Oh, but in their brief Super League stay, they were called the Bears, weren't they? Yeah.
Brad Sheridan will be reliving his clean break, which came to nothing over and over. Danny Langtree should be playing Super League. Next week sees us take on title-chasing Whitehaven. Oh, joy.
It was Hunslet 16, Workington 30, Newcastle 46, North Wales 22, Doncaster 48, Keighley Cougars 12, and Whitehaven 74, West Wales 6.
So Haven hold on to top spot on 30 points. Oldham in second have 28 and a better points difference than Whitehaven should they win at Hunslet and Whitehaven slip up at Coventry next week. Newcastle will finish in the top 3. Hunslet, Doncaster and Workington will be the other playoff sides. North Wales, London Scholars, Coventry and Keighley are the also-rans but still have Pride to play for in the final round. Bottom club West Wales have finished their season now but on 2 points and minus 869 points difference. That actually represents good progress for them this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. Moving in now to the Women's Super League. 4 games this weekend. It finished Castleford 74, Featherstone 8, Leeds 22, Bradford 4, Wigan 52, Wakefield 6, and York 0, St Helens 56.
Yeah, it was a top half v bottom half kind of weekend, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Fixture scheduling nonsense of the season. Well, there's been a lot of these for Women's Super League games, but why didn't they think to flip this Wigan Wakefield?
It was half of a flip and a switch, wasn't it?
Yeah, and have had the game at Wigan earlier in the season so that this game could have been played as the curtain raiser to the men's game at Bellevue. Yeah, well,
what an obvious stupid thing to not have done.
You know, they don't sit down and look at these things, do they? And it's one of the problems with the RFL running some of the games, Super League running some of the other games, and the club's not really thinking everything through all the time. I mean, surely it can't be too hard or expensive to employ a coordinator. I'd do it for free. I'd do it for free. I'd do this for free. I'd do that for free. Right, anyway, that's the Women's Super League. Cass March on 11 wins from 11.
Yeah. Will the trip up, though? Anyway, NRL round 24. It finished Cowboys 15, Bulldogs 8, Warriors 10, Rabbitohs 31. Sam with 121 metres as he made his return. Broncos 17, Eels 16. Knights 38, Titans 4, and Watkins did play in that one. Seagulls
and
6.
My hopes last week for him to get a win never came to fruition, did they?
No, I think he's doomed for the rest of the year. Seagulls 6, Storm 36, Roosters 22, Panthers 6.
Yes, and EFC 78JU got in touch on this one as well. And she said, Sydney Roosters conceded the first try, but they gone and struck before half-time and added points on from the conversion, which was 12-6, and the Panthers' defence... This is taking the piss. Full stops, please! 12-6, and the Panthers' defence was too easy to get past in the second. And Sydney Roosters scored more tries and kicked more conversions, so in the end it was 22-6 to Sydney Roosters, who are near to an NRL Grand Final and placed in the playoff spots, second on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's taking the mick. He or she is taking the mick there with all them ads. Just throw in a full stop every now and again. Give you a chance to breathe.
It was the Sharks 14.
Thanks for all the reviews, though. It was a sterling effort this week.
Just a bit of punctuation. Sharks 14, Raiders 15. Hodgson with a try assist and 53 tackles. Bateman 3 offloads, 5 tackle busts, 42 tackles and 182 metres.
That might be stat line of the week.
It might be, actually. Sutton and Whitehead played, and I have to say, it's always good to see Gallen off with a loss. That's always good. And